Hey everybody, another Imperial Valley chat. I sent a little reader rights to the Imperial Valley Press. I don't know if they're going to print it or not. It's a little unorthodox. But basically, I did a Google search for, how do you treat sludge and city wastewater? Because I am thinking, with the sludge plant that's being proposed and with the new river, there's got to be something that can be done. And really, what I thought about was a biological uh, solution to the problem. I mean, and that was the search I typed in was biological method to treat sewage water. Now, I came up with a couple different results, and what I discovered is that actually, there are plenty of patents out there which make use of different things, and in particular like plants and animals. Um, I emailed several scientists, and one of them, a Professor Mogens Hens from Denmark, responded with try a Google search of constructed wetlands, wastewater ponds, wastewater treatment ponds. And then even my dad turned me on to up in India that there's it's basically a snaking S-shaped type wash that is it's sewage water that comes out, but it through a biological process of passing through reeds and little microorganisms living within that environment, it cleanses the water. So you can imagine that and actually what started me on this or all of this was years ago watching Beyond 2000. There was a bit where they were talking to this guy who was developing this process, which was a series of pools connected by each other, and wastewater would pass between the different pools and go through different stages of cleaning. And ideally, it was like there was a first stage where things were kind of allowed to settle and float, and then you added some microbes to that, which you'd scoop off the microbes and or this kind of algae that would form. You could dry that, use that for fuel, or even like a fertilizer. And then you could even scoop out the pond or whatever the pool is in. And then it would go to another pond where you'd have some more microorganisms, some plants, and even like a shrimp-like animal to eat the microorganisms. So that was a secondary process that went through. Then there'd be another pool which would have a few more animals, a little bit larger, like small fish, along with the shrimp, and more plants. So there was another process that went through. And then like the fourth one, which I think was just kind of a no animals, just a pond of water with some plant life, and in a way that would be the final purification process, because it would take out all the waste products from the animals that got through, and the end result was clean water. So I mean, 5, 6 pools, and not only that, but you could even harvest some of the plant and animal life for fertilizers and stuff like that. And my search was bringing up a lot of real neat, interesting things. Let me give you some keywords. Ecological treatment system for flowing water by this guy who's a professor at Texas. Green Pages, www.eco-web, so eco-web.com. But that's got a lot of different things. It's a little bit more complicated. An evaluation into the potential of biological processing for the removal of metals from sewage sludge. So you can literally have these fish and microorganisms which will take sulfur and phosphorus and other things right out of the water, especially this sewage. So literally, since you got all this barren desert land, you could have a very long kind of open ditch that, or like an S-shaped ditch that you can literally just dump liquid sludge into, and through a slow, gradual biological process, it would be cleaned and purified. you can do that for the New River as well. You can read all the explanations on my blog at my MySpace page, which real simply on MySpace.com/SkyAnimal. Method of biological purification of sewage, United States patent. Sewage and wastewater treatment by a guy named Arthur Van Gelder of San Diego, but I couldn't find an email for that guy. So I think ideally what you could have happen is that, there's almost like no maintenance cost. Occasionally you send out some dredging tools to, pick up like some of the heavier, bigger, stuff that just can't be processed, and also like if there's a clog of some sort. But you can imagine that starting from the border, the New River could, you have it covered over for the first couple 100 feet, whatever, and once it's outside of town, then you have it exposed, and that's where you have the constructed wetlands, which just start processing it. And so you can imagine, like a mile or less of, just this constructed wetland, and then after that, the rest of the way is clean water. So pure, clean water, which is allowed to run along and evaporate, into the air, and help, God, clean, gee, that would be nice, some clean, humidity in the air, and you can do the same thing with the sludge plant. See, because what they're thinking of doing is burning the sludge plant. Well, burning is going to have some waste products. You could conceivably burn it at a high enough temperature that even whatever sort of fumes are generated are, disintegrated. It becomes nothing but like it's broken down into, sort of plasma. But the thing is, it requires drying, so it's a long process, so you can have backup. Both a biological process and a free-flowing water system. All it's, you literally just dump things into one end, and out the other end comes, the clean, water. And what's more, there's evidence that you could process it, through simple methods and create fertilizers for food. So, that's something else to consider. So hey, we could still take LA sludge, get the money from that, especially, and not have to burn anything, and just fresh water, which is feeding the Salton Sea, so it's going to help promote the wildlife there. And once you got wildlife and you got a cleaner water, a bit more tourism, because people then will more likely to come check out the Salton Sea, especially with the New River being cleaned out. And that's something else to consider, is that all the washes, and especially the drainage canals from the fields, can be they can basically be channeled and funneled along the edge of the Salton Sea into these constructed marshlands as well. And, take out the impurities, and in flows fresh water. So, and it was simple little searches I did. Just type in the question, or like what you're looking for, and that's it. So, and I'm sorry I didn't think about that sooner, guys, but we'll see what happens. So, think about that. I hope whoever's watching this, you're telling other people in the Imperial Valley to check out these videos. And, remember, we need to come together as a community and start talking with each other and raising awareness in particular. So, that's my chat.